Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys. It is Wednesday, November 21st. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined by Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, and Andrew McGinnis should be with us momentarily as well. It is a 14-game card. We're breaking it down. We're glad to be with you on a special Wednesday. We're altering the schedule one more time. A reminder, we're on today, we're on Friday, and we're on Saturday this week with the NHL Ice Guys due to the alterations in the NHL schedule because of American Thanksgiving. So let's get right to it. We've got no time to waste. We've got less than an hour to get through all these games. So let's start. Dallas, Pittsburgh, rotation 1-2. No line on this game yet, side or total. We've got all kinds of question marks from a Pittsburgh standpoint, from an injury perspective. Sidney Crosby has been out the last few games with an upper body injury. Evgeny Malkin even got hurt the last game against the Buffalo Sabres. He's questionable. Wait for the morning skate this morning, see how things pan out, but I'm sure that's a direct correlation with why we've got no side, no total posted yet for this game. And then on the other side, you got Ben Bishop questionable with a lower body injury that he suffered the other night against the New York Rangers. Had to leave the hockey game for the Dallas Stars. So interesting, a lot of injury subplots here in this game. Make sure you do your due diligence, check them.
The whole week there are injuries, Ian, huh?
I know. It's the whole league is like one big infirmary ward right now. It is absolutely amazing how many injuries we're dealing with right now. In terms of the two teams right now, Dallas has actually been pretty decent during this road trip they've been on. They slipped up the last game against the Rangers 2-1. By the way, that loss against the Rangers now makes Dallas 0-3 on the second night of back-to-back games this season. That's something to keep an eye on. Dallas starting to develop, again, these little trends that you can pinpoint early on. Make sure you write them down, make note of them. You can reference them with future bets that you make with those teams later on. Dallas struggling on the second night of back-to-backs. They did again the other night against the New York Rangers. They'll look to bounce back here against Pittsburgh. Look, I'm sure Pittsburgh's going to come out as some kind of favorite. I don't think they'll be obviously laying the price they were against Buffalo, which I thought was kind of outrageous the way they've been struggling the other night. But there's no way I'm going to take a shot with this Pittsburgh team right now. They're not getting saves. Smith has been a little bit better than Murray, but not much. The defensive play struggled. The offense, where's it gone? That remains to be seen. They did finally score some goals against Buffalo, but my goodness, that he had a 4-1 lead in that hockey game. You can't somehow find a way to bring it home. Buffalo comes back with a 5-4 overtime win. 4 unanswered goals to beat the Penguins, who now have just 1 win in their last 9 games. It's been an absolute slide here for this Pittsburgh Penguins team until I see evidence that they can bounce back. Not a team I'm in any hurry right now to back. So to me, it's a Dallas or pass spot. We'll see where this number comes out later this morning. Chicago, Washington, no line here. Either side or total in this game. Blackhawks taking on the Capitals. Washington involved in a very wild game the other night with the Montreal Canadiens. No question about that. A back and forth type of affair against the Montreal Canadiens. Really fun hockey game, and a great save in that game was made by Carey Price. If you didn't get a chance to see it on Alex Ovechkin, it was absolutely terrific. A marvelous stop for him against Ovechkin in that hockey game. But you got, again, Chicago struggling quite a bit this season, pretty much all season long. But, even with the new head coach, Jeremy Colleton, after getting rid of Joel Quenneville. By the way, how great was it to see Joel Quenneville partying with the Chicago Bear fans? Phenomenal. You think he's not enjoying some downtime away from being a head coach? Look at that. That was great. I loved that. He's just letting his hair down, so to speak, enjoying it, having a good time. Still in Chicago, obviously, which is pretty cool considering, he was let go, a few weeks ago now, still hanging around the city. But, Chicago has won 2 of their last 3 games. Baby steps forward. They beat St. Louis, lost in a shootout to LA, beat Minnesota 3-1 at home the other night. Washington back-to-back wins for them in overtime to complete their 4-game road trip against Colorado and Montreal. Washington returning home from that 4-game road trip. It looks like Washington is going to be looking at some lines that could be, in terms of estimated lines, they could be in that 160 range as home favorites when this line comes out. Not much here. It's a little tricky spot for Washington, maybe a slight lean to Chicago, but I've got already so many other games circled that I've got wagers on or going to have wagers on, so I'm going to pass this game. I think there's better opportunities than this one. Jimmy Murphy's involved, though, with the Blackhawks and the Capitals. It's one of his games. Jimmy, what do you like here?
Well, that's a game I actually previewed for SBR, guys, and you guys are gonna Alex might like it, but you might think I'm crazy. And I'm loving the Blackhawks with the upset special tonight. I like the way they've been playing a little better under Colleton, a little more up tempo, and I don't know, Washington coming off a road trip, coming off kind of like you mentioned there, the dramatic win in Montreal, and I just see a recipe for a letdown here for the Capitals, and I'm taking this money line, guys. Give me the Hawks and the upset here tonight.
All right, looking at Chicago, Jimmy Murphy, in terms of potentially getting the job done at a nice plus price against the Washington Capitals. Alex B. Smith, of course, with the Hawks. We know he's got a great thought on them and what to expect. Alex, what do you like?
Yeah, Jimmy, I hope you're right. I hope the Hawks can get the win tonight, but I'm looking more at the over here. Like you said, they've been playing a little bit more up tempo with Colleton. The power play still looks abysmal. They said they want to simplify things. And it looks like they're running a high school style power play. It's a lot of passing, not much shooting. So hopefully that starts to open up a little bit. And then you got, a Washington team. They've won 3 of their last 4. We know how good of a team they are. Obviously, they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. So maybe this could be a team that could kind of wake them up a little bit. They've played well against the Hawks over the last, several meetings. So I think we might see some goals here. And the one spot that I'm looking at, I see a 5.5. Shaded to the over. Like I said, once the numbers open up worldwide, I think we're going to see 5.5. So I'd look at the over in that game tonight.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be nice if we could get a 5.5. I was thinking they'd put this at 6, considering Washington's been scoring a lot lately, but you never know. We'll see where this number comes out. We got Andrew McGinnis joining us. Andrew's games have yet to start, the ones he's interested in, so good timing on that. Andrew, though, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Big slate today, and a couple coaches get fired, so it's always fun meeting up with you guys during the week and getting to discuss kind of stuff like that's happened. And I know, as you always say, Ian, we're not Sports Center, but it still is fun to break it down from a betting perspective and how it does affect the betting lines and stuff like that. So changes have come, and it's about time, I think, for certain teams. So we'll see how it affects them.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's chance for both of these coaching changes, I think, to provide a short-term uptick with these two teams. Just briefly talking about that with Mike Yeo out in St. Louis. I know Alex B. Smith says that should have happened a year ago, knowing what he thinks of Mike Yeo, but it finally happened. Craig Berube now the interim head coach. That's got a chance to – St. Louis is better than their record's been so far. They are I think better than they've shown. I think that's a coaching change that could provide an uptick for the Blues. Ken Hitchcock could provide an uptick for the Oilers in the short term too. I mean, a good effort in his first game last night, come back to beat San Jose 4-3 in overtime. Remember, Ken Hitchcock, he's been there, done that before. Took over took over mid-season after a firing in Columbus way back in the day. From guess who? He actually took over from Gerard Gallant way back in the day in Columbus. Yeah, that was the 2006-2007 season. And Hitchcock, that was a bad Columbus team, but they had a nice little run when he took over St. Louis a few years ago. He took over 2011, 2012 from Davis Payne as the head coach of the Blues. And they went 7-1-2. The Blues in the first 10 games with Ken Hitchcock behind the bench that season. So right away, he's gotten immediate positive responses from his team when he's taken over behind the bench, and he got one last night, lo and behold, in Game 1 after Todd McClellan got fired by the Edmonton Oilers. So something to keep an eye on. Ken Hitchcock's been there, done that. He knows what it's like taking over as a head coach in the middle of a season for someone that just got fired. This is not something that he's going to be, struggling with mentally. How do I handle this? No, he can handle this. He's been there, done that, and a good start for Edmonton under Hitch last night against San Jose. But very interesting to see the Oilers and the Blues, how they do moving forward. We'll be talking about the Blues later on in this card because they're in action tonight. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think we can all agree, and it's a very broad statement, but they scored a good amount of goals, but when it comes down to it, still, who was on the ice for that winner, right? Who wasn't making the play? Draisaitl, Connor McDavid. Who was it that got things started for them? McDavid. Who was it that's kind of get the second goal for them? Nugent Hopkins. It's just the same guys all the time, and I think it's for some teams you're dying for your stars to get production, but on some teams like that, I'd almost love to see a 4 or 5 goal game from them without McDavid scoring. I mean, I saw prop bet guys paying a little over even money, like actually a decent price. It was Oilers win plus McDavid scores. And to me, it was like, well, those things kind of coincide. I mean, it just seems like they're not going to win unless he scores. So, I mean, it's still about that production. And like you said, new coach should spark it. I was on the over in that one. I just figured they'd get some goals on the board finally. San Jose, can't really trust them still with goaltending wise and unfortunately defensively, but man, you got to wonder at the production from that team, because obviously it's good. I mean, McDavid's going to have 60 goals to make this team successful, because they can't win without it. So we'll see how they do. But I'm still looking for some depth from that team.
That definitely, there's no doubt. I mean, once again, it was the big cogs last night leading the way, definitely, for this Oilers team. And you're right. I mean, they keep saying that McDavid's going to be a better, player, defensively with Ken Hitchcock there. But we'll have to wait and see on that. That's what the people that follow the Oilers keep saying. But we'll see how that ends up playing out. Next up, we've got Montreal taking on New Jersey. New Jersey minus 135, minus 140 home favorites. The total 5.5, shaded to the over here. In this game, we've got Montreal obviously starting to come back down to earth just a little. I'm not saying they're outright struggling, Montreal, but they've had a little bit of a tough go as of late in terms of getting wins on the board. Again, in that win-loss pattern, they beat Vancouver Saturday night, lose the coming home against Washington the other night in overtime. Still a team, though, that's obviously had a much better season than a lot of people thought. We'll see if they can take care of business here against a New Jersey Devils team that I remember last week when we were talking about New Jersey, how badly they were struggling. Well, they got a couple of wins against Pittsburgh. Well, that win's not doing a whole lot right now in Philadelphia. We've got all kinds of issues at times in terms of consistency. Since then, they followed it up with back-to-back losses against Detroit and Carolina here. I know New Jersey at home has been very good. New Jersey's got a good home record, 6-1-2 at home. They've played good there. They're off a couple of losses. You think you're going to get a pretty good effort here. Not a strong opinion of mine here, but I'd still lean a little to Montreal here at the plus price. You've still got some question marks injury-wise with the Devils. They've been without Hischier for a while. Sami Vatanen out with a lower body injury. They are expected to get Nico Hischier back for this game, though, which is big. He's missed 4 games, upper body injury, but they should have him back for this game tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. But that being said, I think Montreal at a plus price. Again, they've had this incredible pattern. It hasn't worked every game. There's been some games where they've lost 2 in a row or won 2 in a row, but there's been a lot of times this year where you just bet this team off a loss. You've done pretty well, and that's obviously the situation here with Montreal after losing to Washington in OT the other night. So I'd lean a little bit to Montreal here. Not my favorite play on the card, but if I play this one at a plus price, we'll look at the Montreal side in this one. Andrew McGinnis, that's his team, of course, Montreal. We'll see what he has to say about the Habs and Devils tonight. Andrew, what do you like here?
Ian, guys, I think that as much as I've really spoken about how I've liked the production from this Montreal team and how they've kind of surprised quite a bit of people with their goal production, we have to also mention they're averaging 3.3 goals against per game as well. So they've also shockingly been a team that's been able to be walked all over. And as far as their defensive core goes, I mean, everyone's always talked about how, first of all, the Subban-Weber trade, I don't even want to get into that, but so many guys they've just given away, they've just shipped away, and this whole decor almost looks like a new realm, a new group of people. But they're fast. They move the puck up ice a lot better, and that's what I'm impressed with. But as far as defensive stuff goes, I think New Jersey will get a couple of goals tonight. I think that, look at their records here. New Jersey is 6-1 at home, but they're 2-8 on the road. So for me, this is a big home spot for them. Obviously, they're comfortable playing at home. At least they've shown us that so far. For Montreal, it hasn't really mattered where they've been, but that's where their goal production has come for New Jersey specifically is at home. And I just think this 5.5 number is too good to be true with the Canadians averaging, 3.2 goals per game, 3.3 goals against, and the depth that they've had. I think they'll come out and put a good performance up. And to be honest, we got Kincaid versus Price. And right now, Kincaid's stats are a little bit better than Price, but I believe, Price has seen a little more action. I think this one should be a higher scoring game. Getting this 5.5 number, you can get a little minus 115, 120. I'm pretty comfortable taking that one. I also would look at the first period over as well.
All right, looking at over in the game and potentially first period over as well with the Montreal Canadiens, New Jersey Devils. New Jersey was obviously upset with the way they defended on that road trip. It was a disaster. We remember it just a few weeks ago. They were giving up goals in bunches. They have actually improved. It was a stress, a thing they were stressing. Returning home from that road trip, and they actually have played better at that end. They've allowed, 2 goals or less 3 of their last 4 games. So definitely a step in the right direction for them defensively. But now all of a sudden it's the other end of the ice that's got some issues. Their scoring goals have sort of dried up for the New Jersey Devils. We'll see if Hischier coming back is going to help them in that regard. tonight between against the Montreal Canadiens. And we got a salute, by the way. There's someone named Ferry in the chat. He is checking us out from Germany. How about that? How about that for checking us out from Germany? Dankeschön, we say to you. Thank you. Absolutely. For tuning in from Germany and joining the Ice Guys. That's great stuff. Love seeing that. Toronto taking on Carolina. We've got Carolina here minus 115 at home. The total 6, shaded to the under here in this hockey game. Look, I mean, how do you bet against Toronto on the road? That's my question. I mean, this is just absolutely phenomenal away from Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. All they do is keep winning games on the road. All they did was go out to California and sweep that road trip last week against. Now, again, San Jose is really the only win that's impressive in that mix. LA and Anaheim aren't that great, in my opinion, but you still went out there 3-0 sweep. You didn't even have Anderson in the one game. It was Sparks, and you found a way to win that as well. It's the team that is comfortable on the road. They played their best hockey on the road all season long. They don't mind going on the road and winning and playing well. And Carolina, again, it's been a tough go for them. Rod Brindamore, I understand it, was not happy with the team against Columbus. They had a terrible loss Saturday night. They looked lethargic. They looked awful. They lost all the one-on-one puck battles against Columbus. Terrible loss. Rod Brindamore sort of, for the first time this season, was mad enough with his team where he sort of unleashed a tirade, called them out, and they did play better last time out. They played the very next night against New Jersey. They got a 2-1 win in that game, so certainly better results there. But we're still talking about a Carolina team that's really been on a slide. They're only 3-7 in their last 10 games. They haven't been able to follow up a win with another. They've had a real tough time putting together win streaks. So look at this Toronto team again, 9-1 on the road. The only road loss was against Boston, when they dominated the Bruins in the first period. And if not for Halak, could have been a different game. And also Garrett Sparks was in that night, not Anderson, against the Boston Bruins in that game. That's the only road loss for this Toronto team this season. So, are people concerned about the spot here? Is that what because you're sandwiched in between two games against Columbus, that Toronto's not going to be ready for this game? Like, what is the reason for all the flock of money to Kakalaki here? That's what I'm wondering here. I don't get it. Maybe I'm walking into something that doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to anyway. I can't pass up Toronto now. I actually was not going to play this game initially. It was minus 125, I believe, with Carolina, or actually it was minus 120 with Toronto as a road favorite. Now it's minus 15 with Carolina as a home favorite. I got to step in and play Toronto at this price. Even money for a team that's tremendous on the road, the team that's the better of these two teams. Sign me up. Yeah, Toronto minus 105. Don't understand the price. Alex B. Smith, let's get to you. Toronto, Carolina. What do you like here?
Yeah, we're exactly in the same boat. I saw this open up yesterday at the price I saw was minus $1.15. I'm like, okay, that's already a steal. And they were seeing it just drop $1.10, $1.05, now even money, now a plus price. Toronto's won 7 of the last 8 overall. Like I said, they're 9-1 on the road. They've won 4 of the last 5 meetings against the Carolina team that they still haven't gotten anything together, in one piece. Like I said, they're a team where if they get the good goaltending one night, they don't have any offense. They get the offense, they don't have any defense. Defense gets together, the goaltending messed up. So they're completely discombobulated. And then you got a good Leafs team. They're playing their best hockey of the whole year now. It just doesn't make any sense, like I said, unless there's something that we aren't seeing. Even looking at the goaltending metrics, Anderson's in net. He's won 5 of his last 7 games against Carolina. Everything points to Toronto. We're getting the price, the situation. You can't overthink it. Just go with Toronto tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Toronto's probably due for a stinker and a clunker at some point. Maybe people think tonight's going to be that night. They just have a terrible game. But they haven't shown me a terrible game. I thought they were going to have a terrible game against Columbus. I'm seeing Mike Babcock on Sunday say the players had no energy, they had dead legs at practice following that road trip in California. And right away, I'm like, wow, they could be in tough here. First home game against after that road trip against Columbus, when the coach is saying we didn't have any legs or energy in practice on the Sunday. And sure enough, what do? They still rally back from a deficit and beat Columbus the other night at home. Such an impressive win considering what a tough spot that was scheduling wise for the Leafs. And they overcame that bad spot. So, maybe people think this is a bad spot. I personally don't think it's a bad spot for this Toronto team. What is a look ahead to facing Columbus, the team you just beat? Come on. I agree. You got to look at Toronto at this price. The only way I could bet it for sure. Jimmy Murphy, Toronto, Carolina. What do you say, my friend?
I mean, I'm going to echo everything you guys just said there. And like you started off there, Ian, how can you bet against this team on the road? they are the road warriors of the NHL right now. And Carolina is just interesting right now. They were kind of the darlings and the surprise team that everybody was sort of jumping on the bandwagon in October. And I think they've come down to earth a little in the month of November right now. And you're kind of seeing some of the weaknesses they have there. And I think one of them right now is a transition game. I don't like the way their transition game matches up against this Toronto transition game. And I think that'll be the difference. I like the Leafs in the money line.
All right, yeah, absolutely, and it's a goaltending mismatch. Assuming Anderson's going to be in, and I certainly expect him to be in there. It's not a back-to-back. They're playing tonight. They're playing Friday. Nobody's playing tomorrow. It's a goaltending mismatch. Like, it doesn't matter who they put in there. Carolina, Darling, Mrazek, McElhinney. It does not matter. The better goalie is going to be suiting up in blue and white in this game. You can write that down. And Frederik Andersen is playing like one of the best goalies in the NHL right now. He's been absolutely spectacular. 2 goals or less, I believe, now in something like, I don't know, 5 or 6 straight starts for Andersen with 2 goals or less allowed. He's been excellent. No doubt about that. Andrew McGinnis as well, Toronto, Carolina. Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, anyone that really knows me, guys, knows that as far as my handicapping goes, I like to see a little bit of variance in ways teams can win. And I think it's important to see, a 2-1 victory versus the Ducks, 5-3 against the Sharks, and 5-1 against the Kings on that road trip shows me they can win in different ways. And, the Ducks will do that to you, too. They'll keep it at a lower scoring game. But I think, as we all know, Toronto was the far better team than Anaheim, but they had to scrape out that 1-goal win, which, in my opinion, was kind of a more important win than the rest of them because – it's more close, it's more down to the wire, it's more last second. And that's what the kind of wins you want to win on the road and pick up. And that's kind of a more team character kind of building win. And so when I look at this one, I think we're all 4 of us are kind of scratching our heads at these odds and the value we're getting here. But I think it's important to remember how strong Carolina is at home. And that's kind of been their spot recently. But when it comes down to it, guys, first of all, Carolina scores only late in the game. They're a second half of the game kind of team. They don't have the production, the depth that the Toronto Maple Leafs have whatsoever. And I think it's going to be sometime soon, we're going to really start seeing that for this Leafs team. Guys, we can go through the lineup all the time, I understand, but you can have a night where Mitch Marner, John Tavares just take the whole night off, and then you got, Kapanen, Kadri, and Marleau step up, or, Kadri, Kapanen, Marleau, Hyman take a night off, and Tavares and Marner take over the game. It's just, there's just so many weapons that got on the Leafs that, for me, I'd honestly, guys, I would look at the team total. I think that's the safest bet with this one. If you want to look at over 2.5 goals for the Leafs, lay a little bit of juice. You're laughing with that. I think there's no chance that they'll go over 2.5 goals. And the fact that they're underdogs in this one really blows my mind. So the total for me is a little bit iffy with this one, but I'd probably lean the under. But I'd have to say a team total for the Leafs would be one of my favorite plays of this game.
Yeah, it could be. And it could be one of those games where I think a full game under can cash, but a Leaf team total over could also cash. You could get 3-1 or you could get 4-1 in this hockey game. Very, very possible. Because I don't know if Carolina's scoring on Anderson. The way Anderson's playing, the way Carolina's been having a tough time putting the puck in the net, that's going to be the concern. And that could be what causes this game to go under. And Toronto's been trending under very, very heavily as of late. There's no question about that. So, again, we're all kind of mystified that this price is where it's at. So seems like all of us liking Toronto in some fashion in this game. Islanders, Rangers. We've got the Rangers minus 120 at home. The total 6.5 shaded to the under. Now, I know these two teams played a wild game against one another recently, but to put it at 6.5, I don't know about that. I think you're going to get a lower scoring game here. I'm not crazy with the unders, but I'm going to go under 6.5 here in this game. I think the Islanders looking to shore things up a little bit defensively. We know that's obviously something that Barry Trotz was brought in here to do. The Rangers just played a 2-1 game the other night against Dallas, a Rangers team that's been battling without a couple of key forwards as well. Buchnevich has been out. Matt Zuccarello's been out, and they've obviously that's taken away from their offensive punch and offensive depth just a little bit. So I think it's an overreaction to that craze. They did play an absolutely crazy game recently, the Islanders and Rangers head to head with about, I think, 11 goals between them. I think we see something a little bit different here tonight. I'll go under 6.5 with the Rangers and the Islanders. And I'm the only one with anything on that game, which is good. So that means we can move right along to Flyers and Sabres next up. Buffalo -115, total 6 shaded to the over in this game. When it comes to this hockey game here, Buffalo's just red hot, playing great hockey. I was a beneficiary of taking a shot with them not once but twice as big underdogs on that last road trip. Took them against Winnipeg. Great spot, great situation with Winnipeg going on the road out west after that. And they got a shootout win in that game. Came back with them. I stayed off them against Minnesota, and I'm still mad I did because they beat Minnesota the very next night 3-2 on the road. But I said, I'm coming back with the game against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's struggling. Pittsburgh's absolutely free-falling right now. How can they be -170 in this game against Buffalo? And at +150, I took them the other night, and Buffalo has that great comeback and wins 5-4 in overtime. What a comeback by that Sabres team. What a run it's been for them. I mean, talk about finding ways to win. They were trailing in pretty much every one of those games. The Winnipeg game, the Minnesota game, the Buffalo game, or the Pittsburgh game, and they rally back to win all of those games. They're all the big guns are playing well. Pominville's been great. Skinner's been absolutely scintillating for the Sabres. He's been excellent. I couldn't ask for more. Jack Eichel got the overtime winner. He's been rock solid all season long. Casey Middlestat is really starting to get things rolling for the Sabres. Lots to like with this Buffalo team. But I cashed with them at a plus, 150 or 60 it was against Winnipeg, +150 against Pittsburgh. Now they're back home, totally euphoric road trip, and I've now got to lay -115. No, from the value perspective, I'm off the Buffalo train tonight. Not going to stay on it again. But I'm not betting against them right now. I mean, it's not the greatest spot. They're off that incredible road trip. Smells to high heaven like a flat spot, like an absolute clunker or a letdown is in order tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. But I can't go against them here until I see evidence that they're going to lose a game. And I don't trust the Flyers to be that team to hand them a loss to break up this little skid. So it's a pass for me, but I thank Buffalo for 2 big underdog cashes on that road trip. They're playing great hockey. They're getting good goaltending too. Carter Hutton's been solid. Linus Ullmark, the odd time he's gotten in net, other than one start against Montreal, he's been solid. But the goaltending's there. The defensive play has been better. And obviously they're scoring goals. So Buffalo, give them credit. We're talking about a team that is now one of the better records and points in the Eastern Conference right now. Can they keep it up? That remains to be seen. That's still a big question mark. We'll see what happens if the injuries start to mount. But right now, Buffalo is a bet-on team all the way. And I know the spot's dubious. I will not be on them tonight again, but not looking to bet against them either. Jimmy Murphy, Flyers, Sabres. What do you like in this game?
I love the over. And I'm with you. It's tough to bet against Buffalo right now. I was very tempted to take them, but I'm wary of those teams coming off a road trip there, first game back. But then again, I think I saw a stat the other day, guys, because everyone's talking about, Thanksgiving and the night before Thanksgiving games. I'm pretty sure Buffalo plays at home almost every Thanksgiving Eve, and they've only lost twice in the last, I believe, 7 years. So that's a good bet for you there, Ian, taking the saves. I like the over, though, in this. I like a lot of goals. These guys can score, like you said. Buffalo's never out of it. So even if Flyers would go up 3-1 or something, you could see the Sabres coming back like they have been lately. So give me the over there.
All right, liking the over, Flyers and Sabres. By the way, the Ranger goalie is Georgiev. It's not Lundqvist. That's probably why this total is 6.5 too. But Georgiev's actually been serviceable. I'm not saying he's been great. He's been serviceable the last few starts. His full season numbers are still getting skewed by that one abomination of a start he had against Carolina early in the season. But other than that, he's been better. So I still like the under even with him in net tonight with that Ranger game. But yeah, I'm pass for me in this game. But Jimmy, yes.
My thoughts with that, I think it would take a lot to get to 7 goals in that game. I mean, if I was to lean with that one, I'd go the under the total. I mean, 2 teams that can score, 2 teams that are sloppy defensively, but you're still asking for a lot with 7 goals between those 2 teams. So just to chime in here, I would take the under as well on that one.
I agree, and because you saw such a crazy high-scoring game when these teams played each other, just last week. I think you're going to see something different tonight. Boston, Detroit. We've got Boston -135, road favorites total, 5.5 shaded to the under. The walking wounded Boston Bruins. Jimmy Murphy knows all about that, covering this team on a daily basis. My goodness, this poor team. How about the infirmary ward building up? I mean, look at the defense has just been a mashed unit. No Moore, no Carlo, no Big Z, no Charlie McAvoy, no Kevin Miller. I mean, that, folks, is 5 of your starting 6 defensemen. If the season started, they would be 5 of your 6.
Let's hurt Patrice Bergeron too. Let's have him be out.
Let's add him to the mix. And I was just about to get there. Yes, out with an upper body injury. That straw that stirs that drink of that team.
That's going to be longer than 4 weeks. He's actually got, I don't know if you saw the actual terminology, the sterniovacular bone, which is right here, right? So you're thinking when you're shooting a puck, come on. I mean, they're saying reevaluate in 4 weeks. So that means they're just going to look at him. I'm thinking more 6 to 7 with this. Broken ribs from what I'm told as well. Much like the way he played through the Stanley Cup final in 2013, but this isn't the playoffs, so obviously they're going to rest him. The Bruins are banged up bunch right now. The Red Wings have not beat them in a while. I could see this maybe being the night, but I'm going to stay away from the score here. I mean, from the winner or loser, and I'm going to take the score here. I like the under in this. I just see that the Bruins are playing a very clamped down type game right now. Very simple system because they're so shorthanded. So obviously their defensive mindset is going to set in here. I like them holding the Red Wings, who have scored a lot lately, but holding them down a little, and I like the under in this game.
Couldn't agree. Yeah.
Yeah, liking the under. Absolutely. Boston, Detroit. I actually, this is actually a game I don't have much on, but I know I'm not laying road chalk with Boston right now. Not with all these injuries. No way, no how. Detroit's actually been a spunky team. I'd probably take Detroit before I take Boston, but I don't love it either way. In this game, I know this is on Andrew's card. No, it's not with Montreal. Boston. It's on Alex's card. Here we go. Bruins and Red Wings. Alex, what do you like in this game?
I'm actually looking at Detroit here. I've been cashing quite a bit of, quite a few tickets with the Red Wings, and like I said, this spot, like I said, all these injuries, and Jimmy, like you mentioned, that sterniovacular injury. What's serious about that too is that they're gonna have, if they have to do like a major surgery or reevaluate with that, I think that it all involves the collarbone, like I said, the collarbone as well. So he might have to have some kind of issue where they have to basically kind of like reset his collarbone as well. So you're talking about a ton of injuries that could be, like I said, 6-7 weeks. It could even be longer than that. I've only heard of that injury maybe a couple times, and they weren't sports related. So that's, like I said, it's just a ton of different things going wrong for Boston on that front.
A car accident, actually. That's all I knew about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a really serious thing. So, you're looking at on Detroit's side. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of injuries like they were before. They're playing good hockey. They've won 8 of the last 10. Like I said, they've been dominated by Boston over the last 10 meetings, 9-0-1. So looking at that, yeah, they're due for one, and the fact that they're playing well, they know they're playing a beat up team, and they're saying, hey, we've been getting our asses kicked by them before. We can turn things around. So and it's a good price here. I got it yesterday at plus 120, but you can still find it around plus $1.15. So good price. I'm going with the Red Wings again tonight.
And they might actually have some people in the stands too, being in this Thanksgiving eating. People might want to
possibly, unless they're just getting ready for the Lions to get beat up tomorrow. So I don't know, who knows.
Exactly. Yeah. No, their home crowds are sad. I mean, that Detroit Red Wings. It's been that for years. It's even actually the years they've been good. They've had some tough crowds during the regular season, especially
now
early.
The big arena, it just shows up so much more.
Yeah,
shows up worse. I mean, I can't figure it out. But Alex liking Detroit, Jimmy liking the under in this game. Florida, Tampa Bay. Next up should be an interesting one here. Tampa Bay minus 155, total 6.5 even in a lot of spots in this game. And you're seeing Tampa totals 6.5 routinely with no Vasilevsky in that. That is a routine because we know Louis Domingue, who's actually putting forth a decent effort so far. He's been okay. A 6-5, he gave up a lot of goals against Philly, but he faced a ton of shots and would have given up more goals in that first period if not for Louis Domingue. He was absolutely excellent in that first period, and then they sort of hung him out to dry. But you look at it, since Louis Domingue's gotten the call, the last 3 starts, he's given up 3 goals or more. That's what you get from Louis Domingue. He's good. He's not rarely going to hold the fort down. He's usually going to give up some goals, and that's the concern with him. Florida on the flip side, 7-5 win against the Ottawa Senators the other night. 3 straight overs for Florida. They've given up goals plenty all of a sudden. They gave up 7 to Columbus, 4 to the Rangers, 5 to Ottawa. Even though they won that game, it was James Reimer the other night. Should have Luongo back in net, Domingue in net. I had this game circled for over the total, 6.5. I lean that way still. The 6.5, though, I was hoping for 6. 6. If you can find a 6, I'd still look to the over in this game. I mean, Domingue to me is an over goalie. Florida has had some troubles defensively as of late, but I was really hoping for something better than the 6.5 in this game. There's only a 6 at Heritage right now, so it's a small play for me, but it's not as strong as some other sides and totals I've got on this card. Let's get to Jimmy with Florida Tampa. Jimmy, what do you like?
Yeah, I love the over in this, and I know it's high. 6.5 is a real high one. It's tough to kind of do that, but like you said, both teams have been hitting the overs a lot lately, and when these teams get together too, it's a free for all. I mean, this to me is one of the most underrated, if not the most underrated rivalries in hockey right now. The Battle of Florida, and just knowing from fans that hit me up on Twitter from both sides of this rivalry. They love it. And these teams, when they get together, they really go all out. So I see a lot of goals in this one. Give me the over.
All right, looking at the over, and I'm looking at the series history between these two teams. 4 of the last 5 meetings overs, 4-1 to the over the last 5. Actually, the only meeting this season was a 2-1 game, but you look at last season's meetings: 5-3, 5-4, 8-5, 5-4. High scoring games. Again, it's just hard to bet. Tampa's just so explosive. We know that they could score goals. They were held down the last game against Nashville. You would think they bounce back offensively here against Florida. And Luongo finally, in his last couple of starts, lost them. Gave up 4 to the Rangers, gave up 7 to Columbus. So Luongo's all of a sudden, after that great undefeated run where he was just lights out, a couple bumps in the road now for Bobby Lou in the last couple of starts in net for this Florida Panthers team. So yeah, I'm definitely not interested in the under. That's for sure. Over or nothing for me from this game. And Tampa Bay off a loss. You know what I've said about that many, many times. Tampa Bay, not usually a team I'm looking to fade off a loss. That being said, -155. Yeah, not the greatest of value. Maybe you play Tampa regulation instead if you like them to bounce back. We've got St. Louis, Nashville. Nashville -185. Home favorites, total 5.5, shaded to the under in this game. I'm actually coming at this game from a side and a totals perspective. Now, you can't blindly bet the team that fired the coach angle, but it is 2-1 now this season after Edmonton's win last night. 2-1 for teams in their first game after firing the head coach in the 3 previous tries. We'll see if St. Louis can add to that tonight. Craig Berube, obviously behind the bench as the interim coach, taking a shot with St. Louis just because of that, +165. They say they want to play a little faster. Remember, early in the season, what was St. Louis's issue? St. Louis's issue was we scored a ton of goals and couldn't keep any of them out. The recent issue has been, all right, we're playing better defensively. We're getting some saves. Now we can't score all of a sudden. So St. Louis has had both ends of the spectrum during the struggles that led to Mike Yo's demise. Craig Berube says he likes to see this team play with a little bit more pace, a little more energy. They're going to try some different line combinations, which certainly can't hurt at this point, considering the LA Kings in your building just shut you out recently. I mean, that's about as low as you can go in terms of an offensive drought. So I think the Blues, and again, you saw it with Edmonton. You saw it even with Chicago, even though they didn't beat Carolina. They're the one team that lost in the first game under the new coach, but they played with energy. LA did for Willie Desjardins when John Stevens in that first game. I think you get that from St. Louis. That's not like this is a great Nashville spot. You're just coming off a big-time win at home against Tampa Bay. That was a
PK Subban.
And PK Subban still out. You know, you've had Victor Arvidsson out for a while. St. Louis could come in there and pull a little bit of a surprise. I could see this be a sleepy spot here for Nashville just a little bit. So I like St. Louis. And by the way, what I've noticed too about these teams in the first game under the coach, aggressive. LA puts 4 goals on the board in their first game under the new coach. Chicago, high-scoring shootout, put goals on the board against Carolina. Edmonton last night, they go for it. They're excited for the new coach. They go after it. High-scoring game last night against San Jose. So I like the over in this game too, 5.5. So give me the Blues, give me the over. I think St. Louis comes out firing, has a chance to win. I think we get some goals as a result. Rene's been good. The only problem is Rene's been really, really good for the Nashville Predators. Not an easy goalie to bet over with right now, but I'm still going to anyway. Blues and over for me in this hockey game tonight. Let's go. Let's see who else has anyone got this game. Andrew does. Andrew and Alex both on the Blues and Preds. Andrew, let's go to you. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. I'm not one of those people that's kind of just giving the St. Louis Blues a little bit of some time here to settle in. I've been disgusted with their play so far. I've looked at this team, and they're a team I had circled at the start of the year to actually be an impressive team, to be a fast team, and develop that chemistry a lot faster than they have. First of all, I've lost complete faith in Jake Allen, the goaltending depth for the Blues. But then not only that, I mean, back-to-back games, realistically, he's kept them in. I mean, that game versus LA was absolutely awful. I mean, I'll tell you, that was one of my top plays, one of the plays I really liked. I decided to lay a little bit more juice with that one. And, I keep that one as a premium play. And what do you know? I mean, they just can't put up a goal for me whatsoever. I mean, the LA Kings put up one of their best defensive performances of the year. I mean, you got to start wondering when Ryan O'Reilly is going to start performing more, when we're going to see Tarasenko on a consistent basis, and we're going to start seeing the depth. I mean, you've got a guy in Bozak who was actually great several years ago, actually a terrific scorer, and somewhere he's hiding down there in the third line center, just not really doing much, guys, not really doing much at all. And it's sad to see because I think we can all agree that we expected a lot more from this Blues team. And I'm not one of those people that's giving them a little bit of a break with this, because I think that it's time to step it up. And it's like you said, Ian, in instances like this, when you get a coach fired, sometimes we all know, sometimes it looks bad on the coach, but the players are accountable, because when it comes down to it, that coach got fired because of those players. You don't often see a coach get fired after a team has an excellent start to a season. It reflects bad on them, and I think the players have to step things up. It's also, a change is always great in any kind of thing. It sparks some kind of offense, but it's like you said, Ian, the word aggressive that you use is pretty much the main word you can use. You got to come out aggressive. You got to come out firing. And if you notice teams, like Edmonton yesterday, they're just trying to get their shots numbers up. They're trying to get shots on net, trying to get comfortable, and you got to try and stay away from fancying things up and overcomplicating things. So when it comes down to it, it's like Jimmy mentioned. I mean, this Nashville team's been banged up. They've had some injuries, and they've looked a little more sloppy to me recently. So as much as you say Rene's been good, I think that the sloppiness in the defensive zone has worried me from Nashville. And what I've always liked about Nashville is that they're a fast-paced team at getting the puck out of their own end and moving it forwards. Defensemen are very good at that. But for right now, seeing a 5.5 number, I got to look over the total in this one.
All right, looking over the total in this one, St. Louis and Nashville. Definitely we agree on that. Ottawa, Minnesota, we got to hurry. We got 10 minutes. We'll go rapid fire. Minnesota minus 250, total 6. I don't need to belabor this. Mechanically bet Ottawa over the total. Mechanically bet Ottawa over the total. Do it. Do it. Do it. Just do it. Don't even think anymore. Just do it. Because that's what I've been doing, and it keeps on cashing. Did it against Pittsburgh, did it against Florida, and I was in Ottawa the other night, Saturday night, and that game just flew over the total. And then Tuesday night against Florida, just do it. Okay, Minnesota last 2 games, they've dried up offensively. Anybody's going to come to life offensively against this Ottawa team. This Civ defense can't keep the puck out of their own net. Anderson, he's trying his best, Craig Anderson, but he's a goalie now that can't stand on his head the way he used to. Ottawa's just been a train wreck in front of him, but Ottawa is scoring goals still. This is a dangerous offensive team still, Ottawa. Drake Batherson's been good since they called him up. Duchesne scoring, Ryan scoring, Dzingel, Stone. There's a lot of guys in good offensive form, so they're scoring goals, they're giving them up. Keep it simple, stupid. We're going to do it over 6 here, Ottawa, Minnesota. Just keep riding. 7-1 to the over on the road this season, Ottawa. 15-4 to the over overall this season, Ottawa. Now, those are numbers you can't ignore. Give me over 6 in this game. Ottawa, Minnesota. Alex, what do you like in this one?
Well, I'm going the same route, but I'm going to go in the short cap with a first period over. We've been seeing that cash quite often for both of these teams as of late. Like I said, when they do score, they score in bunches and they score early, especially with Ottawa. They give up goals and they're scoring goals. They get it done pretty early. So I think we're just going to see a lot of energy between these two teams. And we always see Minnesota play with a lot more energy at home. Like I said, they had a nice streak going and now they had a couple of losses. So I expect them to be a little more focused tonight. So I like the over 1.5 in the first period with this game.
All right, first period over for Alex. Andrew McGinnis, Ottawa, Minnesota. Take it away.
Yeah, I love the first period play. I love the full game over as well. And I was at that game, Pittsburgh versus Ottawa, over the weekend. And boy, oh boy, guys. I mean, I think at least I got my money's worth as far as goals go. I mean, 6-4 finish for the Senators, potting 6 goals. And I got to say, the top players looked good. I mean, Matt Duchesne looked good. Mark Stone looked good. But like Ian mentioned, I mean, Drake Batherson, a guy that's actually from around my roots here in Halifax area. And, he's a guy that's coming in and making an immediate impact. And he's not anything too special as far as, making the fancy play, but just makes a smart play. He's a power play guy and goes in there and makes a difference. And yeah, when it comes down to, like you said, Anderson can stand on his head all he wants, but the defensive woes that they have, man, they're not really doing too much. So, usually 6 can be a scary number to look at sometimes, but with this team going against the Wild at home, it's not really scaring me off of it. So, Ian, you mentioned to me something earlier in the year about how you've been often playing first period overs and full games, and I kind of like that. So I think this one could be both. And what Alex, hearing you mention the first period, I like both plays quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ottawa's making 6s look small. And again, 15-4 to the over. The number 1 over team in hockey this season has been the Ottawa Senators. This is definitely one of my stronger plays on the card. Definitely getting some best bet consideration for the end of the show. Next up, we've got Vegas and Arizona. No line here in this game. We're looking at Vegas off a debacle against Calgary. We've got Arizona, who's continuing to be up and down, continuing to get through with life with Darcy Kemper in net as opposed to Antti Raanta, which sucks because Ranta's much better goalie, but they're still trekking through and actually playing competitive hockey. Still Arizona, but they'll be better with Ronta back in net without a doubt. But Vegas off such a bad loss, I'm a little bit scared to bet against them here. It's not a game I'm going to be involved with either way. Not in any rush to step in front of either team in that game. Jimmy Murphy, you're involved. Vegas Zona, what do you like here?
I like the way Vegas is playing a little better lately, guys. They're still not where they need to be, and this is kind of an enigma, I think, especially to GM George McPhee, who I know is looking to make a deal right now and trying to improve that club and jumpstart them. But they have been playing better as late. Yes, Arizona, you're right, is competitive. But I like Vegas in this spot. Give me the Vegas puck line in this one.
All right, Vegas puck line for Jimmy Murphy with that one against Arizona. Bounce back spot. We'll see if they can get the job done. Winnipeg, Calgary. Calgary minus 115 home favorites. Total 6 shaded to the over. I like both teams. Not really looking to bet against either team, and I'm certainly not looking to bet against Calgary with David Riddick in net. This is a guy that they finally said enough with Mike Smith. We're sick of the soft goals. Enough. We got to keep this young kid in here, Riddick, who's been great, who's given us our best goaltending this season, and they've been riding him, and he's been great, continues to get the job done for this Calgary Flames team. So tricky game, though. Winnipeg's really good. Winnipeg has no problem going on the road. These are two good teams, Jets, Flames. Have really no thought on it, to be honest with you. I'm just looking for a great game. I'm looking forward to watching it, but betting it, not so much. I mean, I think it's a good game, tough game. We'll see. It's two teams that I think are going to be bet on teams moving forward here, especially Calgary. I like them with Riddick, but this is going to be a step up in class. I mean, they haven't played a team as good, I think, as the Jets in quite some time. They've had a little bit of a softer schedule lately. We'll see how the Flames handle it here playing this Winnipeg team. So great game to watch from a betting standpoint, though, not involved in it. Vancouver, Anaheim. We've got Anaheim minus 155, total 5.5. Across the board. This is a pass two for me. There's no way I'm laying a price with Anaheim in this range. No freaking way am I doing that. But Vancouver starting to hit a little turbulence. They've had to deal with some injuries. They're banged up on the blue line. Besser's been out for a while, and we're starting to see the Canucks struggle. They had a terrible road trip. That first game back against Montreal Saturday night, pretty good effort, but Montreal with a late goal to win 3-2. They're having some tough times. So, I at this price, I would only take Vancouver, but I don't think I trust them quite enough. There's no way I'd lay with Anaheim. If I had to throw it a lean, you take a shot with the plus price dog and the Canucks here, I think, or you leave the game alone. We wrap it up. The last game on the card, Colorado, Los Angeles. Colorado minus 115, road favorites, total 5.5. Shaded to the over, minus 115. Break up the LA Kings here. Holy mackerel. 2 wins in a row for Los Angeles. Beat Chicago in a shootout, beat St. Louis, and shut him out the other night. Cal Peterson has all of a sudden found some goaltending here for the LA Kings since they've given him his first 2 starts. But hold the fort. Chicago, we know their issues. We know St. Louis has been so bad lately that you just fired Mike Yeo. Let's see what you do now against Colorado. I got to take Colorado at this price. I just do. They're the better team. LA, nice little couple of wins there. The goalie was good. But again, more and more people see Cal Peterson. More and more people are going to get a glimpse of his tendencies and where to beat him. And I'm sure guys like McKinnon and Landeskog and Rantanen on that top line in Colorado are going to start to find some weaknesses for this young kid who's played well. I take nothing away from him. He was great. He was really good in relief in Toronto, like the game against Toronto when Budaj got pulled as well. So he's played good, but this price, yeah, it seems a little cheap to Colorado. That's the way I'd look. Jimmy Murphy, what do you like, Avs and Kings?
I'm going to take it one step further and take the puck line there with Colorado, guys. And look, I mean, are you telling me that I like to call them the quicksand defense of LA is going to keep up the speed and size of that top line for Colorado? Come on, guys. They come back down to earth in a hurry in this one. I'm all over the Avs and the puck line.
All right, Andrew McGinnis, Colorado, LA.
Yeah, I was just checking. Just as Jimmy said that, I was trying to look for the odds to see what this is here. I mean, it's look at this, like minus 1.5 plus 240. Holy shit, that's. I'm sorry, this is honestly my on-air reaction to that because holy, I got to take that too. I was looking at the Colorado Avalanche too, Jimmy, but man. That is some friggin' value. I'm going to go with that as well. I mean, everyone knows I've been hating on the Kings for a while, but the fact is in that game against St. Louis, like Ian mentioned, Kyle Peterson looked magnificent. I mean, that defensive core for LA, they came out to play. They got a shutout, but when it came down to it, guys, how many goals did they still score? 2 goals in one of their best games. So I think
Campbell did the same thing. Remember when Quick first went down? Campbell came in, played really well, but
Yeah.
They can't score. That's it. You know, I mean, you can have these goalies come out of nowhere and play these great games, but it doesn't matter if you can't score.
Absolutely right. All right, we got to get to best bets right now. We're running right out of time. Alex B. Smith, let's start with you. Best bet.
Detroit Red Wings plus 115. Like I said, they're on an 8-2 run, 5-1 in their last 6 at home. Boston's just got all kind of injury issues, so I expect the Red Wings to roll once again tonight. Go with Detroit plus 115.
All right, Detroit best bet for Alex B. Smith. Andrew, best bet for this Wednesday card.
Yeah, we saw it happen with Edmonton yesterday after their coach got fired. We'll go back to this one here with the St. Louis Blues and the Nashville Predators. I get it. The goaltending has been pretty good for the Nashville Predators, but I'm going to go over the total of 5.5. This one should have a lot of pace to it, guys, and 6 goals is manageable here in this one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with Berube, they're trying to inject some life into the team. What better way to do that? Let them go offensively a little bit, try to get that going. Blues Preds over 5.5. Jimmy Murphy, a best bet. What do you got?
I'm going to stay right there in LA, folks, and give me the Avs puck line there is my best bet.
All right, Avs puck line. That is that's the value bet of the night, perhaps. Definitely with Colorado at that minus 115 price. For me, Toronto or Ottawa. I'm going to go Ottawa over 6. Minnesota. I really like Toronto a lot too. That was close to being best bet, but I'll go Ottawa, Minnesota over 6. It's been such a great run with these Ottawa overs. 7-1 to the over on the road for Ottawa this season. How do you not bet? I mean, they're making 6s look small. They really, really are. Wild. I'm not concerned. Minnesota hasn't scored the last 2 games. Everybody gets well offensively against the Ottawa Senators this season. We'll go Ottawa, Minnesota over 6 for my best bet. That's going to wrap up the show. Great show. Went 14 games. We got through them all in an hour. Thanks to everyone. We're back, remember, on Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern time with our next edition of the NHL Ice Guys. For Alex B. Smith.
Just quickly, happy Thanksgiving to my American guys, Alex and Jimmy, and to all of our viewers. I don't know if we'll see you guys till then, so we have a lot to be thankful for. So just a quick message to you guys.
Exactly right. We do have a lot to be thankful for, that we can come on the air and talk hockey from a betting perspective 3 days a week. That's a lot to be thankful for right there. Exactly. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the States. For Alex, Andrew, and Jimmy, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the U.S. that tunes into this show, and we'll see you again on Friday for our next edition of the NHL Ice Guys.